A lot of abusive men seem to think that they're good men, right? They don't walk around thinking, I'm the villain. That would be way too easy. That would be like accountability, right? A lot of them genuinely believe that they are good men, and they don't need to be delusional and they don't need to be narcissists to think it. They think that they're decent and reasonable men, hardworking, misunderstood. They think that they're men who try, that they're just not perfect. They're just men who react, and that that's normal. But this is where a lot of women get really stuck, because you keep thinking, if he could just see how much he's hurting me, he would stop. But what if he already knows that you're hurt? What if the issue is not that he doesn't see your pain? What if the issue is that he believes that your pain is justified, that it's just a natural consequence because you deserved the treatment? In fact, you caused the treatment, you exaggerated the treatment, or you should have prevented the treatment. That's a very different problem. And honestly, it's way more dangerous, because he doesn't need to believe that he's evil or abusive to harm you. He only needs to believe that he's entitled. I'm going to break down why so many abusive men still see themselves as good men, why they justify harm while they protect their self-image, and why I'm not perfect is one of the laziest and frankly most annoying little accountability escape hatches on earth. My name is Lisa Sonni. I'm a certified relationship coach. I'm the author of 5 books, and I speak internationally on the topic of domestic abuse and specifically male entitlement. On this channel, we expose what abusive men do, why they do it, and we help women see things more clearly and learn about themselves while rebuilding and exiting from toxic and abusive relationships. A lot of abusive men, frankly, define a good man by what they don't do. This is the basement level bar that a lot of abusive men use, right? This is why women say the bar is in hell. One of the most clear ones is, I don't hit you. I'm not abusive. It's not like I'm hitting you. I have a job. I pay bills. I don't cheat like other men.
I'm better than Kevin. You see how he treats his wife?
It's not like I'm an addict. So what? I like to drink sometimes. I'm not as bad as your ex. You have no reason to be afraid of me. They want a literal congratulations for not qualifying to be the star of a Dateline episode. What do they want? A parade? I call it balloons and cookies, right? They want gold stars for not being the worst man you can possibly imagine. They think that being better than that man makes them safe. They want applause for basic human decency, and they benefit from worse men because they can compare themselves to that. But when you're comparing yourself to a turd, a lot of people look good. Safety isn't measured by how much worse he could be, right? But he measures his goodness by his image and by his alleged intentions, not by the impact. People like him. That's common. People like these abusers because typically, not always, they're more of a covert abuser, right? His coworkers respect him. His friends think he's funny. The neighbors think he's helpful. His mom says he's got a good heart. You know, the waitress sees this charming version of him. But when you say he's abusive, he thinks, abusive? That doesn't sound like me. Well, of course it doesn't. You know, no one would believe that because that's the private version of him. They don't see the punishment that he inflicts on you after this public charm. He's so nice in public, but to you, he's cold and snippy, emotionally, psychologically abusive. Maybe he calls you names. Maybe he's even more covert than that and he never calls you names. But when he's nice to strangers, when he's nice and kind to other people, it doesn't erase what he does to you behind closed doors. But he thinks that he has a reason. And that's the biggest excuse that they all make, right? And you hear it so often. I've seen it in my comment sections. I've seen it in my interviews. These men will often say, but you don't understand. I had to yell. I had to stalk her. They feel so justified because if you're not listening, he has to raise his voice. That's the natural consequence. But at the same time, don't think that all men yell because that's misandry. Meanwhile, they are telling you this. Men have a million reasons for why they do what they do, right? He was stressed. You were nagging him. You embarrassed him. My favorite, you disrespected him. Maybe you disagreed with him. That's too much. You know, you pushed him, metaphorically, relax, right? You wouldn't drop something. You wouldn't stop going on and on about your feelings. You said no to sex. You talked back. You walked away. You made him feel small. But he has an explanation. So the behavior is justified, right? It is the natural consequence. And it's made even more clear when you look at comment sections on the internet, right? Let's say there's a video and a woman cheated, okay? Cheating is bad. We're all going to agree, okay? But what happens when somebody cheats on you? You know what you do when somebody cheats on you? You can break up with them. But with men, they'll be like, of course he assaulted her or unalived her, done something absolutely crazy, right? But it's justified because she cheated. What do you expect, right? When a man does something violent, we always want to know, well, what happened before that provoked it? That's the accountability that men want, right? Women never take accountability. He only hit her because she cheated. Is that the natural consequence of dealing with men? So question, when women are the ones that are cheated on, should they assault or unalive or physically harm their male partners? Of course not, right? That's not the natural consequence of dealing with a woman, but men are happy to say that. It is the justified consequence. What else could you possibly expect? For him to calmly break up with you? That's crazy, right? And they don't see it as abuse because it's a consequence, because you deserved it, right? That's how good men do straight up abusive things without losing their little good guy identity. He has an explanation, so it makes sense. And it is a widely accepted excuse that other people, men and women, will very much accept. It's the catch-all excuse, right? She provoked me. Any man would have snapped. No, any man would not assault his wife. Any man would not necessarily scream. Interestingly, men are not monoliths and they all do different things. Sadly, the common thread is entitlement. He feels entitled to dish out the consequences that you deserve for stepping out of line. Some men actually do have emotional regulation, right? And a working frontal lobe. We love to see it. Please, let's see more of it, right? But a lot of men like this, the point is they see themselves as reacting. They're not choosing, right? I yelled because you didn't listen. I only checked your phone because you were acting suspicious. I only followed you because you left. I only scared you because you wouldn't stop. I only blocked the door because you were trying to leave. I only punched the wall because I was overwhelmed. And all of this in his mind, your behavior caused his behavior. He reacted to you. These men who are logical leaders, who react very emotionally to what's happening in front of them, they are the logical ones, right? I had no choice. I had to scream at her. He doesn't think I chose intimidation. He thinks, what the hell else would you ever expect me to do? I had to intimidate her. That's the lie underneath so much abuse, and they believe it. That's the craziest part. I'm not saying anything. A lot of men, probably in the comment section, will be like, this woman's crazy. Yes, sure. Whatever you want to believe, right? You choose whatever you want to believe that gives you power. That makes sense. He had choices. Men have choices. They can react in a multitude of ways. They don't all behave in the same way. Some men are unsafe, but these same men believe that they're good men. They don't evaluate themselves by how much pain they're causing because they can dismiss your pain because you're a woman, right? They're misogynists in their very core. So you're just a manipulative woman. You're just using your tears. You friggin' women will call anything abuse these days. Oh, what now? Screaming at your wife is abuse? Wow, you guys call anything abuse. That is crazy, right? But that's the nice guy loophole. If he can explain why he did it, then he doesn't have to face what he did to you because you deserved it. If he can make your behavior the trigger, he doesn't have to own his own behavior. This is how they don't take accountability. They will say that women are not taking accountability for provoking, even though they want to be the logical ones, right? We don't use emotion. You women are so emotional. I don't know if you guys know this, but surprise, surprise, facts. Anger is actually an emotion. And it's an interesting emotion because anger is actually a big emotion that has a lot of emotions underneath it. And those are the ones that these types of men don't seem to be able to access, right? Those are the crazy woman emotions. Anger is just the natural consequence. And I keep saying that because that is the part I want you to walk away from this video really understanding. The way that they treat you, they are telling you is the natural consequence. If they can say, hey, she provoked me, he's innocent. If you're difficult, then he's reasonable. And that's how they flip everything. That's why they're constantly saying women don't take accountability for their role. You need to take accountability for provoking him. And you'll see it, right? So many women go in and they provoke him. They want him to hit her. They want him to do it so that he can go to jail, even though provoking men only scares women and most abusive men don't go to jail. So there is no actual social or legal consequence. It doesn't even make sense. When you actually look at the pieces of what they're saying, it quite literally gets dumber by the second. Now, there's a really dark part of this because a lot of these abusive men think that punishment is accountability, right? Punishment is correction. So silent treatment is giving you space. Yelling is just getting through to you. I had to. So let's say they're also withholding money. They're just teaching you responsibility, right? Humiliation, I'm just telling you the truth. All I did was tell the truth. What, you can't handle the truth? Now the truth is abusive? Stalking becomes, fighting for the relationship. I once interviewed a retired lieutenant detective, Mark Wynn. It was a phenomenal episode. Towards the end, I was reading a comment from my actual comment section where a man said, I was only parked outside her house because she was cheating on me. She broke up with me and she wouldn't tell me where she was. When you actually hear the story, it was wild. He was broken up with. And then he referred to being cheated on, but after she broke up with him, and then she wouldn't tell him where she was after they broke up. So he was only sitting out her house because he had to. And he's saying it's not abuse. And the detective was like, that's a confession. It was a phenomenal moment, actually. You should absolutely watch that episode. But in his mind, it's just consequences. That's it, right? He's not harming you. He's correcting you. He's disciplining you. And he probably wouldn't use those words because that sounds bad, but that's what he's doing, right? He's putting you back into line. Listen to these men. I tell women all the time, we got to listen to men when they are speaking because they're telling you things often that are very profound. Some of them are very covert, don't get me wrong, but some are not. One of the kind of interesting things is that a lot of abusive men think that hierarchy is morality. And I think that is something that people are not talking about quite often enough and really seeing and helping survivors and victims of this really see, right? He believes that he should have this authority. That's his role, right? He's the man. He's the provider. He's the logical one, which will never not make me laugh. He's the calm one. He's the head of the household. He's the one with a job, right? I know how the world works. You don't. And so you resist, and he doesn't experience that as equality. He sees that as disrespectful. And now you're rebelling against him and you're defiant and you're not a good woman and all of this crap, right? Your independence is a literal threat to him because you're trying to build mutual respect, but he wants to restore the hierarchy. And especially if he can kind of position it as that's what it's supposed to be. The hierarchy is what it's supposed to be, right? He's the leader. And again, there are plenty of women who fall into this as well. And they think, I want a man to lead. Yeah, just wait until he's leading you off a cliff like so many of these men do, right? Your resistance is the problem to a man like this, right? He doesn't ask questions like, why is she scared of me? He denies that you could be. Instead, it's, why won't she stop making me angry, right? If you hadn't done this, then I wouldn't have done that. It's always on the woman. He doesn't ask why you don't trust him. He asks why you keep bringing up the past. It's not, why does this woman need proof that I change? He doesn't ask that question because that would be an interesting question with a really good answer. It's, why can't she just move on? You talking is the problem. There's no problem. You just keep bringing up all of your feelings. And that's so inconvenient to a man like this because it forces him to face that he's not the good man that he thinks he is. Men like this, they want forgiveness without repair, right? They want to have their peace. You know these men, right? Oh, I just want a woman to be my peace. That literally disgusting. A man who wants a woman to be his peace is undoubtedly a man who self-describes as a leader and an alpha and wants women to be no drama, meaning put up with all of his bad behavior and give him no consequences. This is the same guy that wants access to your body but refuses to give emotional safety. The exact same man that says,
if you say no to sex with me, then I'm not paying the bills. Fair, right? You have needs and I have needs, and it's both of our jobs to meet them. You need safety? Well, I need sex.
Holy crap, right? Where's the safety? So the sex has to come first, but yet I know plenty of women who have given the sex, right? And you're still not getting safety. It's because it's not that kind of transaction. He doesn't think he has to give you anything. He wants what he wants. That's it. He deserves it because he's entitled. A man like this, an abusive man who really thinks that he's good, he wants credit for restraint. He wants to be able to punch a wall, but deny that he actually wanted to punch you, right? Do you know how much worse I could be? I could be like Tom. Tom is the one who treats his wife bad, right? I don't hit you. All I did was yell. Oh, so I'm not allowed to raise my voice?
I'm not allowed to have feelings.
You know that guy? He only grabbed your arm. He only humiliated you. It was just a joke. He didn't actually cheat. He didn't sleep with someone else. He was just DMing all these other girls, right? He just scared you. He didn't actually do anything. And he thinks he is a good man. He can live in that delusion. Having said that, I want to pause on the word delusion because many people will describe these men as delusional, but I actually want to be really clear that, I agree with you that he's delulu in the sense of the slang word and the way that we sort of use that word in a funny way. But he's actually not clinically delusional. He's very much in reality. He knows the difference between right and wrong. And you know that. There's proof. The proof is that he does it behind closed doors. The fact that everybody else probably thinks that he's a pretty good guy, right? Except maybe your closest friends who you tell the truth to. But somehow this he could have done worse thing. He could have been worse. He could have been louder. He could have actually hit you. That's proof that he's good. I'm not handing out trophies, balloons, or cookies to some man for not hitting you. Talk about the bar being in hell, right? The fact that you have the capacity to terrify a woman and then choose a slightly lower setting, that is intimidation. It's still control and it's harmful. It's abuse. This is a pattern. Abuse is a pattern of power and control. But he'll say, I'm not trying to control you, and then do things that are wildly controlling. But when you say, hey, babe, what time are you going to be home tonight? God, you're so controlling. It is crazy making, right? Now, some abusive men confuse regret with accountability, right? So they feel bad after. Not all, let me be super clear. Many perform feeling bad, but some feel bad. Maybe they cry, apologize. They say they hate themselves, or some of those crazy guys that are like, acting like lunatics, right? Because you're leaving them and they're doing crazy things to try to get you back, right? I don't know why I'm like this. I know. Oh, I need therapy, right? They're going through this like crazy shame spiral. They feel the discomfort. They feel scared of the consequences. So they protect the same belief that made the behavior acceptable, right? And then the cycle repeats. Feeling bad isn't accountability, right? I know you don't have to keep harping on me about this. I know I'm bad. I know I did it. You don't have to keep bringing it up, Karen, right? Crying is not something that means anything is actually going to change. Regret without an actual changed belief is nothing. So women comfort the man that hurt them. It happens all the time, right? And a man like this too, talk about consequences. The consequences that a man like this has, which could be you leaving him or, jail, could be a million different things, right? You tell the truth. You tell people what he actually did. But if you do these things, right, you leave him, you abandoned him. How dare you? He's the victim, right? If you tell people what he actually did, if you say the things he did, you ruined his reputation. You're just bitter and angry and all the things, right? You set boundaries, you're controlling. If you start actually looking at how much you do for the relationship and how much he doesn't do, you've changed, you're scorekeeping, all these crazy things, right? You're vindictive. But you do these things and then he can hurt you because you're cold and you abandoned him and you've changed and you're controlling. You deserve mistreatment. So you have a response to harm, but you're the villain because your response is the problem. And he believes that. He's not making it up. It comes from entitlement and superiority. That's the root of that. How could he possibly see himself as the victim? Because he's entitled, because he deserves to have the hierarchy in this relationship. He deserves to do the things he's doing. It comes from that. And then they all, I'm insecure. You can't be insecure and superior. Pick a lane. Pick a lane and it's superior, I'm telling you. Now you have these guys that are like, I'm not perfect. You expect me to be perfect. Nobody asked you to be perfect, right? You asked for safe. You asked for no screaming, right? But it's how they get you to lower the standards, right? To just basic decency. Because everything is you expect perfection. When you expect safety or kindness, so I'm never allowed to scream at you? So I'm not allowed to get mad. Oh, nice. You're allowed to get mad. But do you see how it just makes you be like, okay, you're allowed to get angry. I say this to my children, and I say this on purpose. My children, my under 10 children, you're allowed to get angry and you're not allowed to hit your sister, right? You're allowed to be mad and you're not allowed to scream at me. See how that works? Put your big boy pants on. You're allowed to feel anger, and there are healthier ways to express anger. Oh, but men just express it differently. Men express it often, not all men, but many men express it in a way that is unsafe. And if you want to be in relationships with women, which I'm not so sure that many men do, I know they want to have sex with women, but I'm not sure really if I'm convinced they want to be in actual relationships with women, but that's often what it takes. And then they don't like that, right? Oh, so now I can't have sex with you because I yelled yesterday. Yeah, nice, right? See, I have to be nice to you. I have to perform. It's so transactional for you. Like, oh my God, you're using the word wrong. I could go on a tangent about that. I have other videos on sexual coercion, but women are not asking for a flawless man. We're actually not asking for perfection. The women that I speak to are just asking for a man who doesn't punish them and scare them and manipulate, degrade, threaten, control, or emotionally destroy them, right? God, these women, you women with your ridiculously high standards. That's not perfection though, right? That's bare minimum. And when you actually look at two women who are friends, imagine being like, oh my God, my friend. So she actually talks to me. She listens when I talk. She doesn't even call me names, right? I have this great new friend. No one would be hyping up another woman like that. That's bare minimum behavior, floor level, bar in hell level. Now, when a man can believe that your pain is proof that you're the problem, you're never going to get anywhere with a man like this, right? You love these guys, right? Tears are manipulative. You women, you just cry to be manipulative because that allows him to not take accountability, right? Women just fake their tears, even though it doesn't work. And abusive men do not care. And many men, in fact, many abusive men love when you cry. It's very sadistic for some, but it doesn't actually change anything. So if it was manipulation, wouldn't there be a gain in some capacity? Because that's typically what manipulation is for. If it doesn't work, where's the manipulation? The whole thing kind of falls apart. But when you're afraid, you're dramatic. If you ever react or get angry, if you yell because you've been in this pressure cooker of abuse for a decade, see, you're abusive or we're mutually abusive, right? If you are tired of this and you don't want to be in the relationship anymore, you're weak, you're giving up. If you want space from the relationship, you're cold, you're stonewalling him. They flip everything on you. It's crazy making. This guy is never going to follow your pain and trace it back to his own behavior. It's always your fault. And it's really ironic because if he's abusive, it's your fault. And if you're abusive, it's your fault. It's your fault. If you're a woman, it's your fault, just so you know, right? We're never going to look at the cause, the pattern, the damage. Absolutely not. It's just your fault. Nice little blanket statement. We can just wrap that up in a bow, blame women, and go on with our day. But the disgusting, vile truth is that he treats women the way that he thinks women deserve to be treated. And I think that part is like a slap to so many women, right? Women need to be humbled. They need to be corrected. They need to be less emotional, less demanding, less independent, but not too dependent, because that's a problem too, right? Then you're a gold digger. Less mouthy, less difficult, more sexual, but not too sexual, right? Women are just wrong, right? He doesn't see his control of you as abuse. It's just restoring order, right? And you are just learning the cost of your place. So why do you keep trying to make him understand? It's a dead end. He understands. He just doesn't agree that you feeling pain means that he should stop. There's a real question that he avoids, right? Like he asks, am I better than most men? Yeah. Do people like me? Yeah. Do I provide? Yeah. I pay some bills? Probably 50-50, right? Because people act like men are providers. Most men are not providers. If they do provide, it's a transaction. But in most households, both people are earning income. But I digress. He will focus on, he didn't mean to hurt you. That's more important to him, right? He'll focus on, hey, she pushed me, or I was stressed, or hey, I could have been worse. But none of those are actually the question that matters. Are you safe to the women closest to you? Not charming, not employed, which is ridiculously low bar, not tall, not 6'6". No, it doesn't matter if you're funny or liked by other people or better than her ex, especially if her ex was also abusive. The only thing that matters, are you safe? But that's the question that abusive men avoid because it cuts through their trash performance. He doesn't need to be delusional. He just needs to be entitled. And that's enough to make him extremely dangerous while he believes that he's a good guy. And women keep trying to appeal to his goodness If you can get him in therapy, if you can get this to stop, if you can get him to see your pain and understand, so you present evidence and you cry and you panic and you explain why you're sad, why you're exhausted, why you shut down. You show him things. You send him my videos. You send him articles. Stop that. Stop it right now. He is never going to see it differently. He already knows. He plays confused because good men just don't understand and bad men do it on purpose. So he'll never see it that way. He doesn't believe that he does it on purpose. He believes that it's just natural. It's not a choice to him when it is a choice. That's it. And you'll never convince him. Stop trying to convince him. I want you to ask yourself some questions. How does he treat you when you disappoint him? Because that's what matters, right? It's not a matter of if he's a good person, because he cosplays a good guy and sometimes he seems nice and sometimes he doesn't. But like, what happens when you say no? What happens when you say no to sex? Okay, once, nothing? Okay, cool. What happens when you say no 2, 3 times, right? You start to see what he's really here for. Is your fear information or is he insulted by the fact that you're afraid? Does his goodness sometimes make him safer? No. And honestly, this self-image that he's so desperate to protect, if it doesn't protect you, it's useless to you, right? He loves his image more than he loves your humanity. That's wild. This is a man who says he loves you. And I know maybe this video puts you further into confusion. It deepens the traumatic cognitive dissonance, but hear me out because this is stuff you need to know. The good guy abuser is absolutely confusing. It really is. A lot of abusive men really believe that they're good men because they've defined good in a way that protects them from taking accountability from their behavior, right? Good means I don't hit you, I don't cheat, or I haven't cheated in years. It means being liked publicly. That's it. It means being better than worse men. This is why bad men benefit from worse men. It means he feels bad after, or he performs bad. He regrets what he did, but he only regrets it because people found out, or because you implemented some kind of consequence. Are you safe for the woman closest to you? That's all that matters. Because a man can believe that he's a good guy and he can still punish you, degrade you, intimidate you, manipulate you, and convince himself that you deserved every bit of it. That is not delusional. It is entitlement all the way through. Hit subscribe if you aren't already. On my channel, we expose what abusive men are doing and how they think so that you can free yourself. And if you're tired of explaining yourself to a man who never wants to see your point and he thinks of himself as a good man, then you can work with me one-on-one, or you can join my self-paced program called the Trauma Bond Recovery Course for only $97, or you can join the live interactive version, which is a 12-week program that I co-host with Dr. Peter Salerno called the Trauma Bond Recovery Group Coaching Program. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.